In a recent interview, Dakota Johnson made Hollywood stir when she shared a short but heart-wrenching sentence. "Don't wait for me anymore." That sentence not only made fans cry, but also made Jamie Dornan, who had been with her on an emotional journey in 50 Shades, feel like he was silently knocked out. Heartbreak, one word, 1,000 wounds. Jamie Dornan is said to have been silent for many days after hearing those words. Although he was not mentioned directly, everyone understood. Dakota was talking to the person who was once a special, other half, in her life. She admitted, "There are relationships that, no matter how hard you try, can only exist in memory." That sentence was like an end to the fragile hopes that Jamie had kept all this time. Candle, unforgettable memories. Having created a series of moments together that moved the world, Jamie and Dakota have always been considered symbols of harmony and true emotions. But now, everything seems to be in the past. One is still waiting, the other has moved on, and between them, there is only a void of unsaid things. Cloud with rain when love turns to pain. A close source revealed that Jamie still keeps the habit of rewatching old scenes of 50 Shades, as a way to find Dakota's image. And she, now, chooses silence, chooses peace, chooses to leave the memories that once broke her heart. Sometimes, the bravest thing is not to hold on, but to let go. Dakota Johnson. Rose. Jamie Dornan, the man of deep wounds. Dakota Johnson, the woman who left an indelible mark in his heart. A sad ending, but also proof that not every love needs a perfect ending to become eternal. Heartbreak. Jamie Dornan responds to Dakota Johnson, "I have never waited in vain." After hearing Dakota Johnson's words, "Don't wait for me anymore," Jamie Dornan finally spoke up. No noise, no tears, just a short post on social media that made millions of hearts ache. "I have never waited in vain. Because I know, wherever you go, a part of me will always remain where you once smiled." Crescent moon. A gentle reply, but deeply painful. People say that when men are silent, they are most hurt. And Jamie Dornan, who was once considered the heart of steel of Hollywood, revealed a rare weakness. Not a blame, not a plea, but a painful acceptance. He understood that Dakota had chosen her own path, and he only had memories left to love again, in his mind. Thought ballooned between them, there are still things left unsaid. According to a close source, Jamie still keeps the letter that Dakota sent him after 50 Shades Freed ended. In the letter, she wrote, "If there is an afterlife, I still want to see you again, but maybe not as Christian and Anna anymore." That sentence made Jamie cry many times, and he himself admitted in an interview. There are people who, even though they only pass through our lives for a few years, leave a mark deeper than a lifetime. Cloud with rain. Rain of memories. One person chooses to forget, one person chooses to remember, and it is that distance that makes them unable to touch each other again. Jamie still quietly appears in old movie screenings, still looks at the place where Dakota used to be. As for her, although she doesn't say it, there is sometimes a hint of sadness in her eyes, as if she is looking for something that was lost. Rose. The end or another beginning? Hollywood may see this as the end of a silent love, but for fans, this is just a temporary chapter. Because, between Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, there is always something that cannot be named, destiny. You told me not to wait. But maybe, I never knew how to stop. Jamie Dornan. Heartbreak Part 3. The last night, where all unspoken words are said. It was a lightly rainy night in London. The city was strangely quiet, only the pale yellow lights illuminating the wet street. Jamie Dornan stood there, without a coat, holding an old umbrella, looking towards the cafe where they had sat during the years of filming 50 Shades. Dakota Johnson was late. She was still the same, slender figure, sad eyes, and a smile he thought he could see for the rest of his life. Cloud with rain. The meeting no one dared to warn of. I knew you would come, Dakota said softly, her voice trembling slightly in the rain. Jamie smiled, a sad smile that choked. I have never missed a place where you are. They were both silent. There was only the sound of falling rain and the faint, trembling breath of two hearts still beating for each other, but no longer belonging to each other. Dakota looked at him for a long time, then said, I don't want you to wait, because I'm afraid I'll hurt you more. Jamie replied slowly. Hurt is not scary, Dakota. It's just scary when you have to live and forget the feeling of loving someone. Dizzy one look, a lifetime not to forget. Dakota lowered her head, tears mixing with the rain. She raised her hand to gently touch his face, as if wanting to remember one last time. If I could go back, I would still choose you, but not in this life. Jamie didn't say anything. He just took her hand, kissed it softly, a long and painful kiss like a goodbye without words. Crescent moon when love turns into eternity. That night, they parted without either looking back. Dakota walked into the darkness, while Jamie stood forever in the rain, letting memories flow through each cold drop. They both understood, their love was over, but never gone. I won't wait anymore, but I won't forget either. Jamie Dornan. Candle. A chapter closes, a love legend remains. They say, the most beautiful loves are the ones that are not complete. And for Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, that, last night, became an immortal moment where two hearts no longer share the same path, but still turn towards each other, in a memory that never fades. After the rainy night, Jamie Dornan's unsent letter. The next morning, London woke up from the night rain. The weak sunlight shone through Jamie Dornan's apartment window. On the table, there was a cold cup of coffee, and a white piece of paper with scribbled handwriting, a letter he wrote all night, but never sent. Love letter, to you, the one I still call in my dreams. Dakota. I don't know if you still remember last night, or if it was just a closure. But for me, it wasn't a breakup, it was an unfinished goodbye. I used to think I was strong enough to let go, but when I saw you, all the memories came back to life. That look, that smile, it was still you, the one I loved, and perhaps, I will still love, even if the world changes. You told me not to wait anymore, but you know what? There are waiting not to meet again, but just to keep the belief that the love that once existed was real. I will not look for you anymore, but I will keep you, in every frame, every breath, every song we heard. If one day we meet again, I hope you will still smile. Because I will still be like that, just smile, and say, I have never regretted loving you. Jamie. Crescent moon in spoken words, and memories that do not fade. Jamie folded the letter and put it in the drawer where he kept old scripts and pictures of Dakota. No one knew that letter existed, but for him, it was the only way to say goodbye without having to meet again. One chose to write, one chose to be silent, and between them, love still lived quietly, even though it no longer had a form. Candle. When everything is gone, only the echo remains. Time can wash away everything, but it cannot erase the feeling when two souls once touched deeply. For Jamie, Dakota is more than just a memory. She is the person who made him understand what it means to love and lose. He never sent that letter. Because sometimes the most beautiful things are the ones kept in silence. Jamie Dornan. Many years later, when they met again. Many years have passed since that last night in London. Jamie Dornan is now in his 40s, still handsome, but his eyes are somewhat quieter. Dakota Johnson, a brilliant, confident and calm star, is now a symbol of independence and pride. The two of them seem to have gone in two completely different directions, until one fateful evening in Venice. Crescent moon meeting again, amidst the sea of people, only two gazes remain. That year's Venice Film Festival was brightly lit, hundreds of cameras flashing non-stop. Jamie appeared on the red carpet. Just as he stepped down, another car stopped. Dakota stepped out. No one said anything, no one spoke, but the thousands of people present all felt. At that moment, time seemed to stop. Dakota smiled slightly, and Jamie just nodded. Their eyes met, long enough to recall all the things that had never been said. That year's rain, the unsent letter, and the promise I won't forget. All came back in a split second. Dizzy backstage conversation. When all the lights were off, they met again in the quiet hallway after the premiere. Dakota spoke first. You're still the same, still making everyone silent when you appear. Jamie smiled. And you are still the one who reminds me of the most beautiful things. They both laughed, but their eyes were filled with tears. Dakota said softly, I read your letter, Jamie. It was sent to me by mistake, from your old manager. He was stunned. Dakota continued, her voice trembling. I cried, not because I regretted, but because I realized, no one had ever loved me so tenderly. Candle another ending, no confession needed. They didn't turn back, didn't hold hands, didn't make any promises. Just sat next to each other, watching the Venice sunset, in a silence that was strangely warm. Maybe we don't belong together in this life, Dakota said. But somewhere, in another timeline, I believe we had a happy ending. Jamie replied softly. I believe so too, because no matter what, you are still the most beautiful part of my life. Rose when love has turned into peace. That night, they left in two different directions, but it was no longer a separation, but a rare kind of peace. No more tears, no more torment, only the appreciation and smiles of those who loved deeply remained. There are people we don't need to keep, because they are in our hearts forever. Jamie Dornan.